Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I'm Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video provides additional practice distinguishing between the different sampling methods. Remember, you need to participate and actually give a response when I pause in the video if you want to maximize your learning. To start, we're going to continue the game we were playing in the previous mini lecture. I give you an example and you tell me the sampling method. Here's our first one. In a Kelton research poll, 1,114 Americans 18 years of age or older were called after their telephone numbers were randomly generated by a computer, and 36% of the respondents said they believe in the existence of UFOs. What sampling method do we have here? Well, this is just a random sample. All you're doing is selecting randomly here from the whole population. Okay, here's the next one. A professor surveys a class by identifying groups of males and females and then randomly selecting 5 students from each of those groups. What do we have here? Well, this is stratified sampling. You're dividing the population into groups based on some characteristic, in this case gender, and then you're selecting at random from each of those groups that are called strata. Okay, what about this one? A student conducting a survey by randomly selecting 3 different classes and surveying all the students as they left those classes. I'll give you a moment to respond. Well, this is cluster sampling. You're randomly selecting different groups from the whole population, in this case, some classes out of all the classes at a certain school, and then taking everything out of those groups that you selected. That's cluster sampling. Next at bat, we have a study of back pain in which 641 subjects were randomly assigned to 4 different treatment groups: individualized acupuncture, standardized acupuncture, simulated acupuncture, and usual care. What sampling method do we have here? Well, here we have, again, random sampling. Yes, there are different groups, but you're not sampling from those groups. Rather, you're randomly selecting from the whole population and then placing your selections into groups. If you were selecting from the groups, you might have stratified or cluster sampling, but you're not. So it's just random sampling. Next, we have sample data collected by randomly selecting 5 books from each of the following categories: science, fiction, and history. The number of pages in each book was then recorded. What do we have here? Well, this is stratified sampling. Here you have different subgroups or strata, and this is the different categories: the science, the fiction, the history, and you're randomly selecting from each of those subgroups. How about this one? Satellites are used to collect sample data for estimating deforestation rates. The Forest Resources Assessment of the UN Food and Agriculture Organization uses a method of selecting a sample of a 10-kilometer wide square at every 1 degree intersection of latitude and longitude. Well, here we have systematic sampling. Remember, anytime you have samples taken at set intervals, you have systematic sampling. Okay, next we have CNN conducting an exit poll during the last presidential election in which specific polling stations were randomly selected, and then all the voters were surveyed as they left the premises. What do we have here? Well, this is cluster sampling. You're randomly selecting groups within the population, in this case, polling stations, and then taking everything in those groups that were selected. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have an interesting little tidbit of history. In 1936, Literary Digest magazine mailed questionnaires to 10 million people and obtained 2,266,566 responses. The responses indicated that Alf Landon would win the presidential election. Of course, we know from history that he didn't. So what sampling method do we have here? Well, this is convenience sampling. Okay, the magazine crew took their data from those who decided to respond to the survey, that's what was convenient, instead of making sure their sample was sufficiently representative of the population. And you see the effect of using the biased sample that resulted. The conclusion they made didn't apply to the population. So take a lesson here. How you get your data matters. Make sure you get your data through a more effective sampling method, and convenience sampling isn't one of them. Okay, let's participate now in an activity that will bring what we've learned in the last few mini lectures together. I give you an example and you tell me whether we have an observational study or an experiment. Then use your knowledge of sampling methods to tell me what's wrong with the observational study or experiment. Okay, here we go. The Physicians' Health Study involved 22,071 male physicians. Based on random selections, 11,037 of them were treated with aspirin, and the other 11,034 were given placebos. The study was stopped early because it became clear that aspirin reduced the risk of myocardial infarction, or heart attack, by a substantial amount. Is this an observational study or an experiment? Well, here we have an experiment. The aspirin is a treatment intended to change some of the sample, which makes this an experiment. Now, what's wrong with this experiment? I'll give you a moment to respond. Well, notice that the sample subjects are all male. This means your conclusion will apply only to men. And the increasing numbers of women entering the medical profession limits the usefulness of those conclusions. Of course, the larger the population sufficiently represented by the sample, the more applicable the conclusions of the study will be. Okay, let's take a look at another example. A researcher for a consortium of insurance companies plans to test for the effects of drinking on driving ability by randomly selecting 1,000 drivers and then randomly assigning them to two groups. One group of 500 will drive in New York City after no alcohol consumption, and the second group will drive in New York City after consuming 3 shots of Jim Beam bourbon whiskey. Observational study or experiment? Well, again, we have an experiment because part of the sample receives a treatment. Now, what's wrong with this experiment? Well, aside from the obvious dangers, this study is highly illegal. If you've ever been to the Big Apple, you know traffic is a bear, and part of the reason why the majority of people ride the subway. I do have to wonder if whoever decided this study was a good idea had one shot too many. Hey, I'm not judging, I'm just saying. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope you found it helpful. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountainAcademy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.